Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I have your very first gameplay and overview straight from the Leviathan's dev server of a brand new and somewhat interesting aircraft that's coming to the Swedish Air Force's tech tree. It is the Saab F-35, basically the J35, but it is flying under the Danish flag. Now that being said, again, this is a squadron vehicle, but what's really interesting about it is that it is a strike variant of the J35. So as you can see here, it is carrying a whole lot of anti-ground ordnance, and interestingly, it has what looks like a laser designator on the front. We'll have to wait and see if that actually comes to fruition, but as of right now, it just doesn't have any sort of visible or useful thing here in War Thunder. But that being said, as you can see, this is its anti-ground capability. Pretty damn impressive. It can carry up to 9 1,000-pound bombs, 9 500-pound bombs. You also have the slower bombs, which are kind of interesting, and also you have CRV-7 and Mighty Mouse rockets. CRV-7s do fire a little bit quicker when it comes to their maximum speed, but otherwise they do have the same exact warhead as the Mighty Mouse rockets. Now, interestingly, this has no radar, at least as of current. It does have ballistic computers, which are really, really nice for both the bombs and rockets, and it has the same exact engine as what we see on the J35XS. Now, where this differs is that it has a worse stat card for the most part. So this has an 18 kilometer per hour slower top speed. It turns 7 seconds slower. It's around 22 meters per second slower when it comes to its overall climb rate. Again, despite the fact that it has the same engine. Now, I'm guessing it's because it's a little bit heavier of an airframe. It does actually carry 60 more rounds in total compared to the J35XS, which is kind of interesting, and I feel like that's actually quite useful. But again, it also lacks a radar. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what's going to come from this. If this is going to be a very good aircraft, if this is going to keep the same stats, I just quite honestly do not know. There's so many things that can and will change, and actually I'm re-recording this because the dev server updated to show all these new features, and even the secondary loadouts have changed in the last hour. So there's a lot of updates that are still coming to the dev server, and this vehicle is one of the things that has most recently been updated. Oh, and one final thing here to mention with the F-35, it does have two AIM-9Ns that do come with it standard. Believe it or not, they are not researchable. The AIM-9Bs are researchable, so these come with the aircraft once you get it. Basically, AIM-9Ns are AIM-9J1s, which are basically AIM-9Js, but with solid-state electronics in them, which in theory provide better tracking. And again, you only get 2 of those when compared to the J35XS, which gets 6 AIM-9Js or RB-24Js. So it's a little bit interesting. We'll have to wait and see if these end up being a little bit better. They do seem to be a touch better, but if it's just a marginal difference, then it really doesn't make up for the fact that it has only 1/3 the amount of the J35XS while still being the same BR in air battles. So as I said, let's get into a match, see what we could do. Then I'll bring this into a test drive to see what the ground attack capabilities are all about. But that said, let's get into it. So here we are with the F-35, not the Lightning, but kind of just a vehicle that we already have in game, but just a slightly different version of it. Now that said, as you can see, I mean, there are some things with this, like the pylons, for example. They aren't really there yet because, again, this is the dev server, and what can you really expect? Hell, even the cockpit here, there are some missing textures. So you do have a really nice stopwatch, I guess, which is cool. I never knew that that was a thing. Also, is that the actual time? That is the actual time. Eastern Standard Time. That is the correct time where I am. So that's pretty interesting. But that being said, this vehicle it does feel a little bit slower than the XS, which I guess makes some level of sense. I'm assuming that the reduced stats are largely due to like a heavier frame, being that this has to carry bombs, like 8,000 pounds of bombs, which is not nothing. Like, that's a lot of bombs. So I'm actually genuinely impressed by how much this can carry. And by the way, it does have ballistic computers, if I have not already mentioned that. Now, so here's something that is very interesting. This game just updated. Like, while I was trying to actually get into another match, it wouldn't let me get into another match. Pylons have been added. The flares and chaff have been increased, especially the chaff. And the cockpit is still mostly unrendered, or at least partially unrendered. But hey, you know what? It's still an improvement. Otherwise, more or less about the same. We do have, I think, 20 fewer total rounds between the two cannons, so 10 per cannon. And again, the stats, so the max speed, turn time, and rate of climb are the same as they were before. But that just goes to show the dev server can and will change immediately. So anything you see on here, again, might not be what you get in the live server once this actually goes live. Okay, let's see if we can get this MiG-19. He seems to be a bit not favorable for me to actually hit with the missiles. So hopefully not too big of a deal. We got the kill anyways. Very nice. That's one of the problems with, well, one, the dev server, but two, missiles in this game, like, you know, non-all aspect missiles, rear aspect only. They can just be a real pain in the tuchus to aim. And they don't necessarily, like, you know, let's say if you're at the side here, right? Like, you can still get a real good profile of the heat coming off the back of it, but it's still not going to count necessarily. So it can just really be a pain. Then also you have your clouds and whatnot. It's just, Then you have this where the guy is coming towards you, which is always very fun. We got a second kill. Look at that. Very nice. Very nice. Not too bad. So, I mean, look at that speed bleed, though. Like, I just lost about half my speed going into that turn. And again, I mean, the overall, like fuel tanks, I don't think they're properly modeled in this game. So, for example, like, if this was real, it would probably weigh a whole lot more and slow the vehicle down more than it does in, you know, in this game. But it seems as though, again, the overall performance of this aircraft is worse than what you would expect from, let's say, again, the XS. Just being the point of comparison that I've pretty much had this entire video between this and the XS, because both of them are in that side of the tech tree, and, you know, they are both, at least currently, the same VR. Because, again, this is still 10.3 and 10.7, even after that real quick update that they put on it. Oh, sweet, we have a G91. So, the trick is, in the dev server, you kind of want to stay a bit away from them and kind of sneak in behind them before they have the chance to kind of mess around with you. So I'm going to try to get behind this guy and then launch my AIM-9 ends if I can. This is wild, actually. So going to refresh that, get to within... Okay, there we go. He's starting to turn. Then we have this Q5. I don't really have all that much ammunition. Doesn't really matter too much. We have the Ayit. Want to get behind him, but he's going to start maneuvering because why wouldn't he? That's just kind of a reasonable maneuver. But thus far, I mean, not too bad. Like, again, I'll say it until the cows come home, so to speak, or whatever the term is. There's not really all too much you can do. It's just dev server gameplay. This thing definitely lacks in terms of total munitions, which really sucks. I'm going to get a little closer to him if possible. It seems like the missiles are okay. They seem to be reasonably good. I can't really say that they're all that fantastic, but they're good enough. You know, again, 5 kills, and then of course I also have a bot kill, but it just lacks overall in terms of armaments. I wasn't particularly inaccurate. Both of my missiles hit, and also I was actually pretty, in my opinion, accurate with my cannons, and yet I have no ammunition left after getting 5 kills against bots. You know, so in actual combat, well, virtual combat, I guess, like in an actual match, I don't really think that this thing is going to hold up all too incredibly well. It won't have the combat endurance, rather. I feel like you'll be able to get decent amount of kills. Of course, I will make a review on this once the actual update comes out. However long into the update, I'll make a review for it. But this vehicle just doesn't seem to have the combat endurance, at least that I would like, because, again, it just lacks the amount of cannons or the amount of ammunition for the cannons, and unless it changes, also the amount of missiles. And I really don't think that we're going to get more than 2 missiles on this, because as we see time and time and time again, what happens when you have a fighter version and a strike version in War Thunder of a vehicle is that on the strike version, typically they cut the amount of missiles that it can carry substantially. And I think that's probably what we're going to see here. It's probably only going to have 2 missiles, whereas the regular fighter version is going to have 6. But we'll have to wait and see, you know. Also, one other thing, I'll see if I can actually show you here. It kind of looks like this is a laser designator. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if that is, then maybe we'll get more armaments by the time that this actually comes out to the game itself. You know, I genuinely did not expect that I would be able to actually fight this Ait. I would have thought that I would have been dead by the time I'd get back to it, but hey, you know what? Again, dev server, we will have a chance at firing another missile at it, hopefully. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try to get behind him a little bit and then fire it. Let's hope that this actually works. Should. I see no reason why not. Fire now. And we have ourselves the kill. Very nice. That's it. 6 kills. 3 for 3 with the missiles. Not bad at all. So that said, I mean, again, there's only so much you can do in the dev server. Like, if I kept playing Air RB, it would just be against bots all the time. So let's just go ahead and just jump into a quick test drive of this thing so I can show you what its ground capabilities are. So this is actually kind of interesting. I mean, this, before the update to the dev server, seemed like it already had a pretty good handle on, you know, anti-ground weaponry, but now that you can carry even more, like, what I typically do is I put the rockets in the middle, because that way they don't have as much dispersion, whereas the bombs tend to be a bit more forgiving. But oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. We have so many of these things that we have here. So as you can see, again, we do have a decent amount of ordnance all together, and it is fully ballistic computered, if that makes any level of sense. Again, we'll have to wait and see if this is actually something that will come to fruition, like if that is a thing that will come to game as a laser pointer. I'm not entirely sure if it will, but if it does, I mean, hell, I don't think I'd be able to complain. So, just versus these dumb targets, I mean, this thing is hella good. So, I really can't complain. Also, if you didn't know, in dev server, it just switches up things all the time. It does have a maneuverability mode. So, we can, in theory, do an easier Cobra maneuver, but realistically speaking, I probably wouldn't. That's not a good idea. So, otherwise, I mean, this thing, for a 10.7 BR aircraft when it comes to anti-ground for CAS, I feel like it's going to be pretty good. I don't feel like this is going to be a bad aircraft at all in that role. I feel like it's going to, for the most part, be capable, despite the fact that it's got a lot of dumb weaponry, at least as of current. This still should be a fairly capable anti-ground vehicle. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to be any good when it comes to, you know, its own BR, or if it's going to have to see some sort of a BR decrease. I'm not entirely sure. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I mean, thankfully, this is a squadron vehicle, if you want to even say thankfully for something like that, rather than a premium. But realistically speaking, I mean, Sweden is starving for a vehicle that can carry a lot of ordnance when it comes to anti-ground weaponry. They are absolutely starving for something like that. And it kind of sucks that this is a squadron vehicle rather than a regular tech tree vehicle. Because even their better anti-ground weapons or, you know, vehicles don't really have the capability to carry all too much. So it's just weird that we're getting this vehicle in a form that will be able to carry a ton, literally a ton, or many tons of anti-ground ordnance. But hey, you know what? I really can't complain. So that said, thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this video, about this vehicle more so. because I am always interested to hear it. But again, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.